This video is intended for informational purposes only and does not include a complete description of all applicable regulatory requirements. It should not be considered a substitute for comprehensive training required by law or your organization's policies. Employers are responsible for ensuring that employees receive proper training to meet all regulatory and safety standards. Nor Cal Carpenters is demonstrating one possible approach, but there are many acceptable methods. Before setting base, look up and around for hazards like power lines, tree branches, or building protrusions. Start by laying out the horizontal rails on the ground. Check that all components fit properly before assembly. This prevents misalignment later. Inspect frames and connections for any problems that could compromise stability. Always adhere to the scaffold manufacturer's instructions for assembly and load limits. Before erecting frames, make sure base plates or mud sills are in place to distribute weight evenly. Why do we use mud sills? Load distribution. Scaffolds carry significant weight from workers, tools, and materials. A mud sill spreads this load over a larger area, preventing the scaffold legs from sinking into soft soil or damaging surfaces. Without mud sills, scaffold legs can shift or sink unevenly, creating instability and increasing the risk of collapse. OSHA and other safety regulations require proper footing for scaffolds. Mud sills or base plates are part of these standards to ensure safe working conditions. Uneven or soft ground can compromise scaffold integrity. Mud sills provide a level, solid foundation even in challenging conditions. In conclusion, mud sills are only needed if there is displacement. It's always a good practice to work with a partner when setting up scaffolding. However, as you can see, it is possible to work alone. When installing cross braces during scaffold erection, always work from the bottom up. For dismantling, work from the top down. Move in one direction, avoid going back and forth, make every movement count, and always think ahead to stay safe and efficient. Scaffold cross braces come in various sizes, such as 7x4, 8x4, and 10x4. The by4 refers to the distance from frame stud to frame stud. There are also cross braces in sizes like 7x2, 8x2, and 10x2. In these measurements, the first number represents the horizontal distance, while the second number indicates the stud spacing. When setting the base for your scaffold, always start with a straight, unwarped plank. Make sure you know where you're getting your level from. Avoid leveling from the jockey horizontal. Different frame brands can cause inconsistencies. Use the same plank and the same level throughout the entire base process for accuracy. If clamps are required, keep everything uniform. And most importantly, take pride in your work. Precision and consistency always matter. A goozer is a manufactured scaffold tube equipped with locking mechanisms on both ends. These locks allow the goozer to be used in a variety of ways, making it a versatile tool for scaffold assembly and adjustment. Goozers are used to reinforce turnaround bays. While rails can serve the same purpose, goozers provide greater rigidity and overall strength. The best practice is to install 2 goozers per turnaround bay, one at the front and one at the back. A key safety tip: install the rear goozer at the top of the frame, running from header to header. This prevents a head knocker hazard when workers pass through walk-through frames. This helps keep your crew safe, your customers satisfied, and your scaffold fully compliant. As you continue setting your base, it is always a good practice to take a step back and look at your work. Check for alignment, stability, and spacing. Here's a golden rule: if you're ever unsure, double check. Taking a moment now can prevent costly mistakes later and keep your scaffold safe and secure. Now let's talk about some scaffold components. Welded frame scaffolds, commonly referred to as frame scaffolds, are temporary elevated platforms used to support workers and materials during construction or maintenance tasks. They are assembled using prefabricated welded frame sections. Typically, walk-through frames are used for easy access from frame to frame. Each welded frame consists of vertical legs, horizontal bearers, internal bracing. All these components are welded together into a single rigid unit, providing strength and stability for the scaffold structure. There are several ways to level a scaffold. The most common method is leveling from bearer to bearer. However, in certain situations, you may need to level jack collar to jack collar, or even build temporary scaffold bays to achieve proper alignment. Always choose the method that ensures safety, stability, and accuracy for your specific job site. As you continue building your scaffold, here's a smart safety tip. Always install an access hatch or ladder before moving on to the next lift. This ensures safe and easy access for everyone. Now, you might be wondering, what about scaffold erectors? Yes, it is legal for erectors to climb horizontal components as long as they're parallel, level, and spaced no more than 22 inches apart vertically. But remember, Best practice is always to provide proper access. Safety first, every time. Building a scaffold is a team effort. It is like a well-oiled machine where everyone plays a part. The person on the ground, their job is to keep the builder busy by staging and passing materials efficiently. Here's an important reminder. Anyone who touches the materials should always check for damaged parts and keep an eye on what's coming next. Now that your base is set and you're installing planks, it's a good practice to start staging materials for the next steps. Planning ahead keeps the workflow smooth and the team safe. What does the second number in a cross brace size, such as 7x4, represent? The correct answer is B, stud spacing. In a cross brace size like 8x4, what does the first number indicate? The correct answer is B, horizontal distance. Which of the following is a correct example of a cross brace size? The correct answer is B, 8x4. In this photo, you can see an example of a rail installed with the belly side facing outward. This is the correct orientation and helps keep the scaffold safe and secure. Now that the base is complete, it's time to focus on the first lift. Here's a best practice. Always install your guardrails before the cross braces. When you install those rails, make sure the belly side faces outward. This keeps the scaffold safe and secure. Work bay by bay, taking your time, and remember, rail before cross, every single time. This simple habit goes a long way toward building a safe and efficient scaffold and also makes your dismantle easy. Once you reach the first lift, make sure you are 100% tied off. Safety isn't optional, it's essential. Keep in mind, Cal OSHA requires full tie-offs at 7.5 feet, while federal OSHA requires them at 10 feet. Also, don't forget your torque specs on clamps. Tighten them to 45 to 50 foot-pounds to ensure a secure connection. Following these steps keeps everyone safe and helps your scaffold stay solid and reliable. Safety first every time. Scaffold clamps are made up of several movable and adjustable parts. The body is the main portion of the clamp, and all other parts attached to it. The strap, which is connected to the body with hinge pins that may be riveted or welded in place, is the strongest part of the clamp and is designed to bear weight and pressure. The bolt is used to secure the clamp and is adjusted with a scaffold wrench. When positioning bolt clamps, always ensure that the weight or pressure is placed on the strap rather than the bolt, since the strap provides maximum strength. Torque specifications for tightening the bolt are typically between 40 and 45 foot-pounds. Be careful not to over-tighten, as excessive torque can deform the bolt and reduce its holding strength. Proper clamp installation is critical for scaffold safety. Always follow these guidelines to maintain a safe work environment. As you continue to erect your scaffold, the process remains largely the same. Begin with the frame, then the rail, and the cross brace. Always remember to keep the belly side of the rail facing outward. This is especially important for multi-base scaffolds, as keeping the belly side out makes the installation of the cross braces smooth and easy. When installing cross braces, follow this rule: bottom up for erection and top down for dismantle. This ensures proper alignment and stability during both assembly and disassembly. It is always best practice to pass materials hand to hand when working on scaffolds. This ensures control and reduces the risk of dropped objects. However, some scaffold environments can be very noisy, such as refineries and power plants where verbal communication may not be effective. In these situations, use the twist method. This means you hold onto the material until the person receiving it gives a slight twist, confirming they have a secure grip before you release the part. This simple step helps prevent accidents and keeps everyone safe. What is the main portion of a scaffold clamp called? The correct answer is B, body. Which part of the clamp is designed to bear weight and pressure? The correct answer is C, strap. How is the strap connected to the body of the clamp? The correct answer is B, with hinge pins that may be riveted or welded. What is the recommended torque specification for tightening the bolt on the clamp? The correct answer is C, 40 to 45 foot-pounds of torque. When installing wire ties, always follow Cal OSHA standards for guardrails. The mid-rail should be positioned between 42 and 45 inches, while the knee rail should be set between 21 and 22.5 inches. Here's an important safety tip. Make sure any sharp edges of the wire are bent or pushed out of the way to prevent injuries and snags. Proper installation keeps your scaffold compliant and your crew safe. In conclusion, we've covered the essentials of scaffold safety and construction, proper base setting techniques, building welded frame scaffolds from the bottom up, and dismantling from the top down. If you follow these steps, you'll always end up with a scaffold that is plumb, level, and square. Remember, dismantling is simply the same process in reverse. Stay safe and keep your scaffolds compliant.